It's 44 degrees in northeast Ohio on a chilly Saturday night, and we're going to warm things up a little bit. Robert Smith and The Cure. Just practicing my disc jockey talent. I'm not really into that at all. I just playing around a little bit. But what's up, cats? Little story today, and this one you may find interesting. It happened many years ago, but my experience with the Zulu MC. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, the Zulu Motorcycle Club has been around since 1969, almost 50 years. They were kind of known as being one of the first black 1%er motorcycle clubs. Now, originally, there were about 12 founding members of the Zulu Motorcycle Club, and they came from the Akron-Cleveland area, and some of them from the Midwest. But the one I was familiar with was the Akron chapter, and I think it goes way back to when I was a teenager. Okay, the first time I ever even heard of the Zulu Motorcycle Club, I was partying with some friends in a garage, and it was decided that it was time to do a beer run. So the one guy, he had a Harley, and he says, I don't have any saddlebags, I don't have anywhere to carry the beer, but I'll go on the beer run, but I need somebody to ride on the back and carry the beer. So I volunteered, or I was volunteered. I'm not sure how that worked, but I ended up on the back of the Harley, and we took off and went to pick up the beer. Got a 12-pack. I grabbed it under my arm, and I didn't have much experience riding on the back of a bike. I was always used to driving the bike, but he was kind of a crazy rider anyways. And I kind of hung on to it, to the back of his belt, with the 12-pack under my arm. We came up on this intersection, and to the left of us there was a gas station, and there had to be at least 30 Zulus on their motorcycles in the gas station, fueling up at that time. So the guy I was with, he was already a little bit, had a few to drink. And he just started hollering at the top of his lungs and revving his Harley up and just throttling it. Well, all of the Zulus in the gas station, they all turned around to see what it was going on, and they're all looking at us. And about that time, the guy I'm with bangs the clutch. The bike does a wheelie and takes off through the intersection. And I ended up on the tail light. Lucky I didn't go all the way off on the road. He had to be going 100 miles an hour up the road, I guess thinking that the Zulus were going to come after us. I don't think they did, but that, I think that was the fear there that they were going to follow us. So he was trying to get back to where we were as fast as he could, and it was all I could do to hang on, and not very comfortable sitting on the tail light either. But that was my first run-in with them, which really wasn't much of a run-in. But years later, I picked up a full-time job, and one of the fellows that I worked with just happened to be a Zulu. Really cool black guy. And he was very likable by everybody. He was just a very charismatic character, and he and I palled up pretty good together, So we worked on a lot of jobs together, and driving truck and stuff like that. And he was always really good to me. He had a motorcycle, I had a motorcycle, so a couple times he and I would get together and we would ride together. And whenever we were in the Akron area, it wasn't uncommon for the police to follow us around, being that he was somewhat notorious. and the cops knew who he was. He was actually the treasurer at that time of the Akron chapter of the Zulus. So that was kind of fun, I guess, kind of thrilling for young guys full of testosterone, and good for a story anyways. We never did get in any trouble. We stayed pretty clean. We made sure we put our turn signals on or hand signaled for our turns, and we didn't go 1 mile over the speed limit. But it came upon a time when he offered me a ticket to go to the Zulu Cabaret. And I had no idea what that was. And he says, well, hey, it's just a big party, and we all get together, and it's sponsored by the club, but anybody's welcome. And you're welcome to come, and I'd like to have you come along. And I said, I don't know, I'll think about it. And he gave me a ticket anyway, and he said, I want you to come. I really want you to come. I'll be there. We'll have fun. It'll be a lot of fun. It's going to be down at this VFW hall in Akron. So I decided I was going to go, and I don't know what inspired me at the time. I guess I was just looking for a thrill, anything I could find to do that was a little over the top and exciting. And we went to the Zulu Cabaret. Well, we got to the VFW hall and walked in there, and they were still setting up chairs and tables. There was hardly anybody there, but the guys that were setting up were club members, and a couple of them were wearing their cuts, and they welcomed us pretty well. I told them who I was and where my affiliation was there, and they were cool with it. So they said, go ahead and find a seat, and as the gets a little later here, the party will get rolling, but make yourself at home, make yourself comfortable. Well, we pulled up a chair at one of the tables, and I think at the time I had a smaller bottle of Jack, a 6-pack of beer, and a bag of pretzels or something like that. I don't know. It wasn't very much. I don't think I was prepared for what was coming, because within the next couple hours, groups of people kept coming in, and they were bringing, huge coolers full of food and sandwiches and boxes of pizzas, and bringing in cases of beer and full bars they were setting up on the tables and everything. Well, it wasn't hard to see after a while that my ex and I, we were the only white people in the entire party, and there had to be hundreds of people there. So it was a little nervous. I never felt threatened or anything like that. I felt fairly comfortable, but just was a little bit nervous. But it was all well, though, when the president came walking over. Now, he was a great big burly fella, and he had a gal on each arm, and he walked right up, and he introduced himself, and he introduced his two lady friends that he said were his his posse, I guess, for lack of better terms, his groupies. But he welcomed us and offered us, whatever we wanted, and said, that we were welcome guests there at the cabaret party. Well, the evening went on, and I don't remember anything extraordinary about it. They said there was going to be entertainment, a band and stuff, but that didn't really produce anything while we were there. And I think it was probably closer to 12:31 a.m. When I decided it was time to pack up and leave. Just prior to that, though, they came and they grabbed my ex and they said, you don't mind if we take her, we want to do a group picture. Well, they had the bleachers kind of set up in the one corner of the building, and the whole club got up there with all their cuts on, and they had their big banner, the Zulu's MC banner that hung up there, and they took a club picture. And right in the middle, there's this white girl. It was like their trophy or something. I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny myself. We split out of there, though, and we I never did see my buddy. He never did show up. I kept asking, where is he? Where is he? You know, they said, oh, he's coming. He'll be here. He'll be here. Well, he never did show up. So I was kind of left high and dry on that one. But nonetheless, everything worked out well. As we were walking out the door, I could see the line went all the way down the sidewalk of people waiting to get in. You had to have a ticket or you had to pay that fee to get in the door. And I asked somebody, I said, good grief. I said, it's already like 1 a.m. And I said, you're still lined up to come to this thing? And they said, oh, yeah, they'll still be rocking at 6 in the morning. And they said, good grief, the band doesn't even start playing till, like 2 a.m. So I had never really seen a party that crazy that went all night long like that. But I was pretty wiped out. As a white guy, I was pretty wiped out at 1 a.m. and ready for the sack, ready to get to bed. So that was my story about the Zulus. I've seen them a couple times at some rallies and events around town, so they all seem like pretty good people. I've stopped and talked to some of the guys, and they've been very friendly, and it seemed like a good group of guys. Anyway, that's all I got for today. If you like the videos, push that thumbs up, hit the like button, leave a comment for me. If you haven't yet, subscribe to our videos, and if you really like it, share it with your buddies and have them take a look and see what they think too. So until next time, ride hard and die free.